Hello everyone, it's always a pleasure to be part of Vicky Frames, and today I'm even more delighted because I have this wonderful talented team of the film Gulmohar over here. You know, it's always a special treat क्योंकि हम लोग usually interviews और बातचीत film के release के पहले ही कर लेते हैं. So we are mostly shooting in the dark. We don't know what we are talking about. But luckily for me, I watched the film, and wonderful to have all of you here to do a little bit of a conversation around the film Gulmohar. And I'm just going to start off with Manoj. मनोज, ये जो फिल्म है इतनी सुंदर एक फैमिली फिल्म है, इंटरजेनरेशनल, बहुत सॉफ्ट और बहुत ही सेंसिटिव तरह की फिल्म है. एंड we've seen you in some very sort of, they just introduced you with Bhiku Matre, and we've seen you in very, very different kind of roles, which are maybe gangster films and many others. Of course, you've had great success with The Family Man recently. So what did you feel when this film came to you, when Rahul came to you with this film? What did you think of it? How did you want to approach it as an actor?
First of all, good evening, everyone. You know, as an actor, you are not thinking about the genre. You are not thinking about anything else as to how people perceive you as. You are only looking at the script and how engaging it is. Just so in the morning when I was promoting for my next film, Banda, someone asked me the same thing. But for me, for all the actors, for all the people like directors or all the other actors, when we are reading a script, we see how engaging it is, how much it is attracting me towards it, how much it is able to mesmerize me with its own setup, with its own surrounding, or the conflict, or the dynamics, or the atmosphere that it is, trying to showcase. When Rahul narrated the whole thing to me, the only thing I could ask was when he was going to shoot, because that's how much I was into the film. That's it's very important for me to see the world right in front of me when I finish reading it. It's very important for me to see the character in front of me if I'm going to play. Sometimes what happens, Priyanka, that I love it. I love it so much that I'm desperate to do it, but I still don't see the character. I'm unable to form the character in my head. But other things are so compelling that it forces me to just go ahead and take a plunge and explore the character. Gangs of Wasipur is one. I could not see the character, but somewhere I was compelled to do the film because of the setup, because of the surroundings, because of the way it was being, it was narrated in the script form. But this character I could not see. For that, I had to really go step by step. And it took me 3 months to really find the right suit of the character. But with Gulmohar, I saw the character immediately. Though it was a risky thing for me that no actor in this world, not only India, no actor in this world would like to play a father of 3 or 4 grown-up children. Okay? No actor. Even if he's 70, he will refuse to do it. That's the way actor's mind is. But somewhere I realized that, Arun Batra and his conflict and his relationship with his wife and the children, I could see that. I could feel those nuances. I could feel that I relate to him. I somewhere found myself in him. And that's how I realized that, I should just go ahead and give it a shot.
And it was such a wonderful performance. I mean, you're always magnificent. But I was curious to see how you would be in this particular film, which was something very different from what we had seen you in, the earlier films that we'd seen you in. But we can always rely on you to pull off the unexpected. So no surprises there. I don't know how many of you have watched the film. I'm sure most of you would have seen it. But Gulmohar is this, beautiful intergenerational film, and it's the story of the Batra family, and the tugs and pulls and pushes that they have within themselves. There's a bit of a reveal that happens within the family that kind of creates a bit of an upset, some tension and some drama amongst themselves. But the interesting thing is that every character has their own little story, their own arc, and like I was just talking to Utsavi, that it may not be like a larger than life situation, but to the person who is in that situation, it is something which is very, very important, and that brings its own set of creates its own circumstances within the story, which makes it very compelling. So this is something I'd like to ask both Bikram and Rahul, that how did you sort of spin the story and how did you pitch it? And Bikram, in this time when OTTs are known for like very gritty crime, crime shows, and where there's high drama, high octane sort of action and all of that, what struck you about this beautiful film called Gulmohar that you said, okay, this is what I'm going to greenlight this and we'll go ahead with this? So both you and Rahul like to have your views on that.
So I think, honestly, I'll take on from what Manojji just said and what you said. It all starts from the script. So when I was reading it for the first time and Rahul had sent across and we'd briefly just getting to know each other, it was a very compelling story. It is one of those stories that you want to read and you can suspend disbelief. It's the kind of stories you want to read in life. And you can stop whatever you're doing, whether you're eating food or you're playing, and you believe you're so immersed that each of the characters was so rich that I thought, if these characters are so interesting and so rich on paper, if they were to come alive, I really want to see that film. And that's when I thought that this is something that what Rahul has been speaking, and each of those characters, as you also mentioned, have their own journey of self-discovery going on. But at the same time, that whole family as a unit has a journey of its own. So that interplay is what excited me the most. That interplay which is playing out with each of the character has its own journey and resolution, which happens if you've seen the film, whether it's Manoj Bajpaye's pivotal character of Arun Batra, who has this great engagement happening both upwards and downwards with his parent and him playing that parent, as well as each of the characters, whether it's Utsavi's character or it is Simran's character or Sharmita ji, the way she's portrayed Kusum, which is very interesting and you're immersed in it. But at the same time, that whole unit is moving together towards a journey. And that just kept me so immersed that we said that this is definitely a story. It has richness, it has great characters, it has enough complexity. So I feel if it brought to life, it is something I would definitely want to watch. And so I would like to bring it to the audiences. And what Rahul did with it, I must say, I mean, the masterful storyteller that he is, he's actually bettered what we read by many times over. Those small nuances of the films and the character, I mean, kudos. It's just become something that I and everybody else on this journey is going to cherish for the rest of our lives.
So, Rahul, what was it that, I think the last time we spoke, and then I read somewhere as well, that you sort of started on this story with the background of your mentor, Meera Nair's, story of her home in Delhi, but then it took off from there. That was just
right. So the story
idea of a family moving out from their family home, and then you just took off from there. So tell us a little bit about that creative journey that created the Batra family.
So going back a little behind, I had another script in mind, which I was shopping around all across Bombay. It was fully financed. Meera and I were supposed to produce it, and it was a two-hero film, and nobody wanted to act in it. This was before the OTTs came in, or they were just about coming in. And I came back home one day, and my wife is a huge Bollywood buff and mainstream cinema buff. And she told me, why are you working so hard? You should just write a family film, and that's what sells. And that's the inception of me wanting to make a family film, literally to prove a point that, okay, fine, I'm going to make a film that will appeal to all. But then, of course, my sensibility came in, and Arpita, who's my co-writer, we both started jamming on it. I used to travel a lot to Delhi because Meera lives in Delhi. And she, so for the last 12 years, I was going to her house. That became our office. I used to live there. My earlier film, I had edited in that house. So when she had to sell the house, we were all very emotional. And that, I had gone to her house when she was making a suitable boy. And I saw the packers coming in. And just then an idea came to me that what if there's a family, we knew that we wanted to make a family film, Arpita and I, and what if there's a family that's packing up their home and all these secrets start coming out. That was where the idea came. But very early on, what I like doing is marking out what who my characters are, and I love to keep actors in mind while writing. So I am very blessed that the 4 prime characters, Sharmila ji, Manoj ji, Suraj and Simran, they were always in my mind while writing. And they stuck around right from 2019 is when I cast them. So when he said, when do you want to shoot it? This was in December 2019. And one thing he forgot to say is, when he said, when do you want to shoot it? I asked him, are you sure? Because he was, this was just out of Family Man and Basipur and so many other films. And I said, you're going to play a father to 3 children, and they're not young children, they're married, and one person's pregnant, and all of that. And it's an ensemble piece. So like Bikram was saying, and you were saying that, every character has their own arcs. I was very particular that this has to be a portrait of all the characters in the house. So are you sure? And he looked at me saying, yeah, so what is your question? And he made me look like a fool in that meeting. But when actors like that are so secure and wanting to jump in, that gives you a lot of confidence to go ahead and make tell such stories.
Absolutely, and I think, when you have somebody like Manoj who has so much of creative experience and understanding, I think the film becomes richer for it, and like you said, it gives you a lot more confidence yourself that you are on the right track. What is it that made you take Utsavi in the role? This is her debut in the film. A big hand for this young lady. She's sung in the film as well, and she's made her acting debut too. So what was it that made you
So
opt for her?
Amrita's part, for all of you who've seen the film, I was very particular about who to cast in that. And of course, we had auditioned almost 80 to 90 actors all across India. And actually, Ehsan Nurani from Shankar Ehsan Loy, he had recommended her to another friend of mine, Paddy, who runs Spotify. Because I asked Paddy, listen, I want to cast an actor. She doesn't need to be an established actor. She can be a newcomer, but she needs to sing really well, because this is the role of a songwriter. And it's not just a singer, it's a songwriter who writes her own songs. And so Ehsan had recommended her to Paddy, and then Paddy told me, and then we auditioned her. And my casting director, I remember, he called me late at night one day and he said, there's this girl, Utsavi Jha, who was recommended by Ehsan. Please check her out. She's got something. And I saw the audition. I said, we must call her. And then we had a 1 hour or 2 hour audition, one-on-one. And I said, this is a serious job. Because, as outsiders, you always feel that film is all fun and, it's all glam, but there's so much hard work that goes in, especially for actors. So I said, this is a very serious job. Are you sure about it? Is your family sure about it? And knowing Utsavi now, she's just a wild woman who just wants to jump into adventures. And she said, this is something new, I've never done it, but I want to do it. But I think I loved that audition, and then I had to convince Bikram as well, because it's his money that he's putting in and his faith that he's putting in. So we did a detailed audition with her, which I showed to him and his team. And I remember one of his team members cried while seeing the audition on Zoom. And then he was so supportive. He said, I'm completely supporting your vision. But it was that, and also she had very smartly sent me a song of hers called Man Mani, which I loved. And I was just telling myself, listen, I really want this girl to play Amrita, or else I'll be heartbroken because also we had auditioned so many girls, and there was some rawness about her, and there's some she was just very fresh, and she was just very eager to explore this and to experience this whole journey.